Nick Finzer here. I am going to jump right in and we're going to talk about improvising and taking things to the next step on Billie's bounce on the blues. So we may have learned some more complicated blues changes that are the actual changes from the original version of the Charlie Parker version of this tune where he plays with Dizzy Gillespie. But I think that there's also some merit in trying to simplify things down at first to try to get the basics of the blues down, and then we can kind of always expand from there. Because everything that they're doing, the more complicated stuff, is just decoration more than functionality. So it's decoration, it's the next step that you can take, and it doesn't necessarily affect that much what we're going to play as improvisers over top of the chords that are existing in Billie's bounce. So we're going to break it down. We break it down to the kind of the most basic fundamental level. So it's going to go a little bit like this. The first thing we're going to do is learn the root melody, which is starting on our concert home note, F, home. So we have F1, and then the next one's going to be 4. 4 in the key of F is F, G, A, B flat. So let's find those first two pitches to kind of make sure that we're on the same page. We're all on the same key. So here's our home pitch, F. And then we have low B flat or high B flat concert. Or either one will work just fine. So in the first 4 measures of the phrase, we have ba, da, ba, ba. So it's 1, 4, 1, 1. Can we play that? We'll play it at the tempo of the tune. 1, 2, 4 bars. Now the next 4 bars is just that backwards. So 4, 4, 1, 1, 4. We're going to play it now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now the next 4 bars, we have the most quintessential chord progression in jazz, which is the 2-5-1. So what is 2-5-1? It's where we go from the chord on the 2nd scale degree to the chord on the 5th scale degree and back to 1. So we have 2, which is G in this key. So we have 1, and then we go up to 2. Can we find our 2 in the key of F? Okay. Here's our F. Can we find the G? Find the 2. Sing it first. G. Now we're going to find it. Right, and then 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can we sing that pitch? Sing it. Now we're going to play it. So we have 2, 5. Back to 1 for the last 2 measures. So all together we have 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 4, 1, 1, 2, 5, 1, 1. So let's play it all together. You can always go back and go through that again, find those notes again, and then join in when you feel comfortable. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So there we go. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is try to move one step closer to knowing both the chords, the arpeggios, the chords, and the notes that are really strong in this key. So for each one of those, we're going to play the root, and then we're going to play the third. So the third. How do we find the third? So if we have it on F, we go F, G, A. Let's find the A. So we would go F, A. Okay, so for each chord we're going to find that. So we only have a couple, 2, 3 other chords to think about. So let's move on to the next chord, which was on that B flat. It also has a major third. So we're going to go B flat, D, right? So now we have F and A, B flat and D. So let's do those in sequence. Why? Because that's what happens in the first 2 measures of the chords of this tune, based off of that root melody that we just learned. So we're going to go, if we're at this tempo, so we'll do half notes. F, A, B flat, D, then F, A, A. You can listen to me do it once, and then you can scroll the video back and you can join in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Right? And now on the next measures, if we remember, it's 4, 4, 1, 1. So B flat, F, F. We'll go B flat, D, B flat, D, F, A, F, A. So let's do that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's put the whole first 4 and second 4, so a total of 8 bars together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now to the last 4 measures where we have our 2, 5. Now we've had a major third on every chord except for this one. The 2 chords are going to be minor. Why? Because in the key of F, if you go G, A, and you have G, A, and then it's B flat, which is the minor third. It's not B natural because we're in the key of F, right? So we want B flat. So G, B flat, right? And then on C7, the next chord, we have a major third again. So C and E natural, also in the key of F. So if you do whole notes, G, B flat, C, E. If you do half notes, G, B flat, C, E. Then we get to the last 2 bars of F again. Does that make sense? So now we're going to put that all together into 12 bars. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. So now once you have that done, we've got the root melody. Now we've got the roots and the thirds. The thirds are what gives us the major or minor information about the chord changes that we're playing. Then the second thing I want to do is learn the sevenths. So you might have heard that in jazz, the thirds and the sevenths are the most important notes because they tell us what the chords are. They tell us the quality, the third and the seventh. So instead of going root third, we're going to now go root seventh, okay? So we can either go up to the 7th scale degree or we can just go down from the root. So in this key, it's a blues, so we're thinking F7. What does F7 mean? It means it's a dominant 7th or a flat 7th. So we're not going to get into the theory reasons of why, but that's what it is for the 1 chord and the 4 chord also on this tune. So that F7 and B flat 7. So we're going to go down a whole step from the root, whole step. So from F, we're going to go down to E flat. So F, E flat, and then we're going to go to the 4 chord and down to the 7th, and then back. 4 chord, 1 chord, 2 chord. So it's a minor chord with a flat 7th, G minor. minor 7, and then C7, which also has that down a whole step dominant 7. And then, so if we put that all together, we're doing root 7th on every measure of the 12 measures. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Great. Now, the next step that I like to do from there is to start to think about walking a bass line. So what does walking a bass line sound like? It sounds like 4 quarter notes in each measure. So if this is our tempo, so what we're going to do is put 4 quarter notes in each measure, and we're going to pick from the notes that we just learned. We have the F, the A, and the E flat. We have the B flat, the D, and the A flat, and then we have the C, the E natural, and the B flat. So with all of that, that's going to give us all the information we need to start to be able to walk a bass line on this tune, right? So we're not going to do it in any particular order. You're going to do it in the order that you want to, and you can do many choruses, so you can start to feel all the different options. You can start to pick different octaves. You can start on a different note. It's really usually great to have the root on the downbeat of the measure, but there's certainly instances where that is not the case. So you can start to mess around and see what you think sounds good on each of this. So this is the first step in starting to learn to improvise over these tunes, because we are improvising. We're picking the rhythm, quarter notes, so it sounds like a walking bass line, and we know what notes we're going to play, but we're going to improvise the order of the notes. We're going to start to pick whatever we think of as the notes that we want to play in this bass line. So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So there's one example, and I could even do something even different. So just switch octaves like I was talking about and make it even more of an improvisation and less of a planned out thing. So maybe I'll try it again. This time adding even more improvisation in terms of octaves. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Sense? So this is the first step in improvising over Billie's Bounce, to start to understand and control the harmony by knowing the thirds and the sevenths, and then adding in our own rhythm, the quarter notes or another rhythm of your choice, and starting to improvise with the notes. That's going to give us a solid foundation for starting to do melodies and eighth note lines and all the other great things that you do when you play and improvise in jazz. If you guys have enjoyed this lesson, you're going to definitely enjoy checking out Creative Jazz Fundamentals from the Institute of Creative Music. The IFCM has launched a second series of videos ranging from beginning to intermediate on tunes of all different types in the jazz style, from jazz blues like this one to even simpler tunes, and starting to think about modal tunes and what does it mean to improvise in a modal setting versus on changes and all those sorts of things. The videos are interactive like the ones that we've just had, where I'm going to play, you're going to play, and also you're going to hear from our other great teaching artists from the IFCM. So if you like that, I hope you can check out Creative Jazz Fundamentals, and good luck and best wishes on practicing and getting better at Billie's Bounce. We'll see you back here again real soon.